In a coordinated operation in Gauteng, at least 50 undocumented immigrants were arrested during an inspection at a construction site in Clayville, Ekurhuleni. The inspection was conducted by the Department of Employment and Labor, working together with law enforcement authorities. According to information provided, the operation targeted a construction site that was suspected of employing dozens of undocumented foreign nationals. Authorities carried out what has been described as a raid at the site. During the inspection, officials allegedly identified individuals who were unable to produce valid documentation permitting them to reside or work in South Africa. As a result, at least 50 people were arrested on suspicion of being in the country without the required legal status. The Department of Employment and Labor, commonly referred to as the Department of Labor, regularly conducts inspections to ensure compliance with labor laws and employment regulations. These inspections often focus on verifying whether employers adhere to legal requirements relating to employment contracts, working conditions, and the lawful hiring of foreign nationals. In this instance, the operation was reportedly prompted by suspicions that the construction site was employing dozens of undocumented foreign nationals. Authorities have not publicly detailed how the suspicions arose or whether the inspection formed part of a broader compliance drive in the area. However, joint operations between labor inspectors and law enforcement agencies are not uncommon, particularly in sectors such as construction, where large numbers of workers may be employed on temporary or project-based contracts. During the inspection in Clayville, officials allegedly requested workers to provide identification and documentation confirming their legal right to work in South Africa. Those who were unable to produce valid documents were reportedly detained. At least 50 individuals were subsequently arrested. Officials have indicated that these individuals are believed to be undocumented immigrants. The term undocumented generally refers to foreign nationals who do not have valid visas, permits, or other legal documentation authorizing their stay or employment in the country. Law enforcement authorities are expected to process those arrested in accordance with South African immigration and criminal procedures. This may include verification of identity, confirmation of immigration status, and potential charges related to contraventions of the Immigration Act, depending on the outcome of investigations. At this stage, there has been no public indication of the nationalities of those arrested. Authorities have also not released details regarding possible action against the employer or site management. It remains unclear whether the employer may face charges or penalties for allegedly employing undocumented foreign nationals, should evidence support such findings. Under South African law, employers are required to ensure that all employees, including foreign nationals, are legally permitted to work in the country. Failure to comply with these requirements can result in fines or other legal consequences. However, any such measures would depend on the outcome of further investigations and due legal processes. Clayville, located in Ekurhuleni, is an area that includes both residential and industrial developments. Construction activity in the region has been ongoing, with various infrastructure and housing projects underway. As in many parts of South Africa, the construction sector employs both local and foreign workers. Operations such as the one conducted in Clayville often form part of broader enforcement efforts aimed at addressing concerns about undocumented immigration and labor law compliance. Authorities have in the past indicated that inspections are intended not only to enforce immigration laws but also to protect lawful workers and ensure fair labor practices. The Department of Employment and Labor's involvement in the operation underscores its mandate to oversee employment standards and compliance. Labor inspectors are empowered to enter workplaces, request documentation, and assess whether employers are adhering to relevant legislation, including laws governing the employment of foreign nationals. Law enforcement agencies, meanwhile, are responsible for immigration enforcement and arrests where necessary. The collaboration between departments in this operation reflects an integrated approach to regulatory compliance. The individuals arrested during the raid will likely be afforded their constitutional rights, including the right to legal representation and the right to appear before a court if charges are formally brought against them. South Africa's legal framework requires that all persons, regardless of nationality, be treated in accordance with the Constitution and applicable laws. At this stage, authorities have not disclosed whether additional arrests are anticipated or whether further inspections will be conducted at other sites in the area. It is also not clear whether the operation was part of a larger, province-wide initiative. Community responses to such operations can vary. In some instances, residents and local organizations express concern about the presence of undocumented workers and the impact on local employment opportunities. In other cases, there are calls for humane treatment and due process for those arrested. However, no official statements from community groups in Clayville have been released in connection with this particular operation. The situation remains under investigation. Officials have indicated that the arrests were made following the inspection, but further details are expected to emerge once processing and verification procedures are completed. For now, the confirmed facts are that at least 50 undocumented immigrants were arrested during an inspection at a construction site in Clayville, Ekurhuleni, and that the operation was conducted by the Department of Employment and Labor in partnership with law enforcement authorities. The site was allegedly suspected of employing dozens of undocumented foreign nationals. As the legal process unfolds, additional information may clarify the circumstances surrounding the employment practices at the site, the status of those arrested, and any potential legal action against individuals or entities involved. Authorities have emphasized that enforcement actions are carried out in line with the law. Further updates are expected once investigations are concluded and any formal charges, if applicable, are announced. This remains a developing story.